Good morning, everybody. Melissa and Bella. It is a beautiful Thursday morning. Sunny, a little on the cool side, but the sun is warming it up. So I just wanted to hop on and talk a little bit about just kind of my journey through life, and if anybody else out there has moved a lot in their life. I've come to the realization, obviously, that I'm not like the typical person that lives in a house until they're such and such age and then moves out of that house to another place and gets married and does, everything in the right order or whatever you want to call it. That was not me, by no means. I got pregnant very young. I had my daughter at 18. Her dad and I did move out together, and we did live together for a couple of years. We did try to make it work, but sometimes things just don't. So that's another story. But we separated, and I moved back home with my mom for a little bit, and I was full-time in college. I was going to college for nursing. Also, I had gotten a new job working at Hooters, of all places. And my mom and I really, kind of struggled to have a good relationship. We didn't start to really get closer until the last couple of years before she passed away. But that's okay. So I moved back home for a few months and then realized that wasn't working. So I had moved out on my own with my daughter by myself. Had my own apartment for several years, just her and I. But then met my son's father, and him and I ended up moving in together. So I've moved quite a lot. I want to say throughout my life, I've probably moved well over 25 times. But I used to get a lot of shit about this. I'm sure that there's people that would still want to judge me and say things about me on the way that I live. Sometimes it's not by choice, but we all have a choice, right? That's the thing, is that my choices and my actions have put me where I am in my life. And I think a lot of times you got to stop eating stuff off the ground. Like, for real. You're getting me really annoyed with that. Really annoyed. Come on. I let it hinder my growth. I let the naysayers and the negative talk get me down. I think growing up in the 80s and the 90s, even in the 2000s, it was a totally different way of being raised. We weren't meant to feel our emotions, and with me being a very highly sensitive, highly emotional person, this was very hard for me. I know my mother and my parents love me very much, but when it came to my emotional stability, that's where it struggled. That's where things struggled big time. My mom emotionally shut down after my dad and her got divorced, and then she became very bitter. And so, my mom and my dad, they gave me a good life. I was an only child for many reasons, and they did provide for me in that way. But like I said, emotionally, it was very hard. Back then it was like, you suck it up, or I'll give you something to cry about, or if something was told to you and you asked why, it was because I said so. There was no emotional navigation. Like nobody. I was made to feel bad for feeling, right? I was too sensitive, right? But see, that's the thing. It's like if we don't communicate and we don't get those emotions, those energy in motion to release through us properly, this is how we become sick, okay? This is where we trap energy in our body because we are electromagnetic beings. And see, a lot of people don't realize that our sicknesses come from us, come from our feelings, come from unresolved emotions, stuck emotions. And that's why sometimes, it's not that when you're bringing up the past, you want to sit there and dwell and rehash it. No, you are trying to heal from it. You are trying to transmute that energy into positive energy, release it out from your body, and then move forward. And that's why I did make a couple videos, starting to make some videos about my life story, and it upset some people. And then I thought to myself, but wait a second, but this is my truth. This is what I've lived through. So, you know, of course it may make other people upset, but that was never my goal. You have to be able to talk about and feel and process those things that happened to us in the past. We can't just forget about them and pretend like it never happened. And how do we know if we're properly healed from it? Well, here's how. You can talk about it, you can speak about it, and it doesn't destabilize your nervous system again. You're able to say it and feel it and not have it bother you anymore. When it still bothers you, when something is not resolved or not healed from the past, and you bring it up and it gets you upset,